Ladies and gentlemen, hey, welcome back to Pastors of Pain.
Woo-woo!
We're here in Payne County, Oklahoma. I'm Father Brian O'Brien, joined by my podcasting partner and friend and co-pastor, not co-pastor, fellow pastor, Father Kerry Wakulich.
Hey, good day to you, sir.
Good day to you.
Housemate. We always, people are like, you guys are roommates. No, we live in the same house.
Everyone has their own room.
And bathroom.
And their own bathroom. That was one of the best things we did.
That was the bishop. The bishop required that. Remember when I found a place and he goes, and he said literally like, every priest must have
everybody have their own bathroom? Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing. We are we're priests. And it's awesome.
Yeah. I love being a priest.
We're living it up. Yeah, I know. It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Yeah. I love being a priest. It's not what I planned. It's not what I started off as. You know, when I was 7 years old, You were
not born a priest?
I know. I wanted to build hypersonic jet aircraft when I was 7 because I saw the SR-71 and the X-15 fly, and I said, I want that. I learned recently that in order to build the SR-71 Blackbird, they needed titanium and lots of it.
Oh.
And so the CIA built all these shadow companies to get titanium. Did I already tell you all that one time?
I've never heard that.
Yeah. Tanner Price and I were up. We flew up there with Blake Anthem Adam in a little Piper Comanche or Piper something or other. Yep. And little 4-seater plane. Flew up to the Cosmosphere in Hutchinson, Kansas.
Yeah.
And then Ubered over to the Cosmosphere. And it's amazing. If you need to make a road trip, you know how we talk about road trips and going places? The Cosmosphere in Hutch is amazing.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
They basically have an SR-71 Blackbird full scale inside their building.
Oh, I would see that.
Yeah.
I'd stop and look at that for a few minutes.
Oh, boo. It's like the Basketball Hall of Fame of airplanes, Brian.
You want to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame?
Where is it?
Springfield, Massachusetts. I've actually been there.
I would go.
I was last there in the summer. It was August of 1994.
Whoa. There's also Springfield Armory there where they have a weapons.
Less interesting.
What?
Basketball, come on.
Guns began the revolution.
We're like 6 weeks from the start of college basketball.
What? What's that? Huh?
It's the best. I gave a homily a few weeks ago, and I used a Coach Jim Valvano reference from North Carolina State. I was very happy. I try not to make a lot of sports references because I know it's a mild turnoff for some people who aren't so sporty.
Who have a knowledge of sports?
But I always use it if I use a sports reference, I explain a lot. I do not assume that everybody knows what I know about
delicious
sports.
Coffee. I just took a sip of my coffee to block out whatever you were talking about there because you were talking about sports and I did not care. So I opened my jaw and drank some coffee.
That was mean.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I guess what? I'm a liar.
What?
I'm a liar. I was listening to everything you said.
Yeah. So last week we were walking through the 10 Commandments. So over the last couple of years, we've done a few episodes. Because I thought we would do like just straight through. We'd go 1 through 10.
And then we
10
forgot.
Straight weeks. No, we didn't forget, but then just stuff pops up.
Hey, you know what? We're a big podcast, and people were saying, hey, could you talk about this?
Yeah,
we get
we get a lot of requests from
around the country and the county.
Yeah. So anyway, we're picking back up on our theme. Earlier in the summer, we did the 6th commandment on thou shalt not commit adultery. And then last week, we did the 7th commandment, which is...
thou shalt not steal.
Yes, and there's a lot there.
There was a lot of interesting stuff.
So it's not just don't take my stuff, but kind of how we participate in the life of the economy.
I like the environment thing.
Yeah, how we steward God's gift of creation that has been given to us. All of that, right in there. But anyway, so this week I want to talk about the 8th commandment. The 8th commandment says this: "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor."
Okay, I can take that.
Now, on the surface, that seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't lie about another person.
Or maybe don't bear false witnesses, like slander them or say something that's not true.
But the church, in her wisdom, in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, starting at paragraph 2464, fleshes it out in a beautiful way. There's so much more. 2464 is the paragraph of the Catechism.
Okay.
there's so much more in that. And so it actually begins with like a little, I'll read the kind of opening paragraph.
Oh,
and
please.
then it talks about basically about the truth and how important the truth is, and that God is the source of all truth.
Okay.
And so when we say something that isn't true, we are going against God, who is truth itself.
Come on.
Who is
That's
the source of all truth. And so to think about like, oh, it's just a little lie. Well, I mean, there are grades of lying. There are big lies and there are small lies. But to lie, to not tell the truth. So not just not lying, but to not tell the truth is an offense against God, who is the source of all truth.
Whoa. I have a couple of examples in this.
So here's 24:64. The eighth commandment forbids misrepresenting the truth in our relations with others. This moral prescription flows from the vocation of the holy people to bear witness to their God, who is truth and wills the truth. Offenses against the truth expressed by word or deed, word or deed, a refusal to commit oneself to moral uprightness. They are fundamental infidelities to God, and in this sense, they undermine the foundations of the covenant.
Okay.
So when you lie, you are messing with the covenant.
You like politics, so I'm gonna throw this one out.
I like politics.
Okay. So politics, example. So you have somebody who puts their, they go to court, maybe a politician, and they say like Oliver North. We'll use Ollie North in the Central American guns trials.
The Iran-Contra.
Oh, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
And
like the mid-'80s.
And he said very clearly, I did not do this. And then it come to find out, like, he did.
Liar.
Or
you sit on a throne of lies.
Or Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton gets up and tells everybody that he did not do these things when in fact he did. So there's the obvious word one where someone perjures himself, correct? Then there's the one that you say like they do it indeed, they lie based on their deeds. So we could look at politicians as well as like I'll throw out like Ted Kennedy, he's dead. Ted Kennedy, you remember your mom went on a date with him. And so Ted Kennedy, right?
That's a lie.
You
are breaking the covenant right here on our podcast. This podcast exists to build up God's people, and here you are tearing at the very foundations of God's covenant with his holy people.
Okay, good. See, then that's what happens when someone doesn't know the truth and they state something. We correct them, just like you did. So, but Ted Kennedy publicly proclaimed by his deeds a lie that he was both Catholic and he was pro-choice.
Oh, yeah.
Am I falsifying you? I've already presented in one case that you're willing to correct me on public air, and I'm humble enough to take it. Humble heart, walk cool. Take it. So these are the things like that. The lying can be done with your physical body as well, or by the actions you take. So take notice, politicians, public figures, even movie stars, and ourselves, that by doing things publicly, it is the case like when like someone gets drunk on a Saturday night at a club. You're lying physically with your body that you're a devout Christian. Yes or no?
I guess you're in kind of a broad sense, all sin is a lie.
Especially when it's public and they see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to say I am. But then we're all. I don't know. In that sense, we're all liars. I'm a priest. I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, but I sin also.
Is it because we can't handle the truth?
Is it? And so in that sense, we would say like the devil, the devil is like the father of lies.
Right.
So I guess, so in a broad sense, I think you could say all sin is a lie.
Yes.
But in this sense, we're being very specific of sins against the truth.
Yep.
When something is true and we say or do the opposite, we are lying.
Well, like apostasy. Like we lie.
Well, on apostasy, I mean, the catechism-wise, apostasy would fall under, you shall have no other gods before me. So is that a lie? Yeah. But in this sense, the catechism gets very specific. But one thing I think is really interesting is it does a whole little thing on like what it means to bear witness to the truth.
Ooh, hello.
And the courage that it takes.
To live that truth.
And it says the supreme witness to the truth are martyrs.
Wow.
So here it is, this thing about the 8th commandment, and there's a whole paragraph on martyrdom.
Because they're living the truth physically with their bodies.
They are living the truth to the greatest extent possible, which is they were giving their life for the truth. So it says martyrdom, this is 2473. Martyrdom is the supreme witness given to the truth of the faith. It means bearing witness even unto death. And it quotes, who is this quoting? Oh, Ignatius of Antioch. Let me become the food of beasts.
Oh, yeah.
Through whom it will be given me to reach God.
Yeah, he's like, let me be ground up as bread is ground up for the Eucharist.
So I just love that. I mean, that to take truth all the way to its furthest extent is to be killed for it.
Yeah, like you
Thomas
mentioned,
More.
like you mentioned last week about the telos of things, like they're supposed to be brought to their final end.
Yes.
And so the truth is brought to its final end, which is public proclamation of God.
For some people, the final end of truth telling is that you give up your life. Anyway, I just thought that was like, woo. Okay, let's talk about offenses against the truth.
Okay.
And there's a long list. And I think some of them are, sort of not super relevant, and others that I think really are big problems.
Okay.
Ready?
And go.
False witness and perjury.
Yeah, that's the one I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Politicians.
So if you're under, this is talking about like when you're under oath and you perjure yourself. So it's illegal.
Yeah.
Because sometimes lying is not illegal.
I know. I used to have to lie when I was in the military. People would ask me what I did.
Oh.
And they would say, I can't, I would say, I can't tell you.
I'd have to kill you.
Well, I wouldn't. And so they would ask questions, or you were on a project and no one was supposed to know this project was going on.
Ooh.
And they would ask you where you were, and I would say, oh, yeah, I was at a cousin's house. Or I would, go, I'm going to that place, and
That's actually in here. Can we talk about that? 2491 is entitled Professional Secrets.
Yeah, like it's not, and it's a matter of justice, I think, of lying in that situation, because it's what is the question, what is due to them?
Do they have a right to this information?
Yeah, like our disc jockey over here, Rob Ponce, he was in the military too, in the Navy. And so you're going out on a cruise or something, out on a float, and you're like, I can't tell you where I'm going. And because the information is not due to them because of the protection of the sailors. And the same way with this, it's like, well, I've been told I can't tell anybody, so I can't tell you.
I remember the example we got in moral theology in seminary was you're in Nazi Germany and you're hiding Jews in your basement.
Oh, yeah.
And the Nazis knock on your door and they say, is there anybody in your basement? And your answer is no.
Because the information is not due to them.
Right.
Because we know what they're going to do with it.
So you could, I think there's people who would say like, no, the truth must be told no matter.
Well, that's Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant, K-A-N-T, look him up. I mean, his idea is that you have to tell the truth in every situation, no matter what.
Right. And the church says, no, there are circumstances. We must take into account the circumstance. Anyway, so this is on you when you were a soldier.
Airman.
It says this, for example, this is the catechism. Those of political office holders, soldiers, physicians, and lawyers, or confidential information given under the seal of secrecy, there's priests, must be kept, save in exceptional cases where keeping the secret is bound to cause very grave harm to the one who confided it, to the one who received it, or to a third party, and where the very grave harm can be avoided only by divulging the truth. Even if not confided under the seal of secrecy, private information prejudicial to another is not to be divulged without grave and proportionate reason. So now let's say you had secret knowledge that, nuclear, bomb was coming, whatever. Would you be able to
Kids do that with
tell people.
Bishop Kelly kids would do that all the time when they would say, "What if somebody was going to blow something up?"
What if someone comes to confession and
It's
says, "I'm going to blow up the church right now"? What would you do?
and you're like, "I can't do anything.
I would do nothing.
I'm bound to the seal."
Because the seal is in here too, 2490. The secret. Here's one, and actually this is very practical. This has happened a couple times in my life as a priest.
Yep.
So we're hypothetically talking here. So a couple, let's say a husband and wife, come to confession.
Separate
One
or together?
after another. One after another. So the husband comes in and goes to confession, and is immediately followed by his wife, and they're both behind the screen, and the wife is let's say it says something about got angry at my husband, and he probably said that about me because he was just in here.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, can I divulge, or can I sort of figure out like, okay, this is probably a married couple, but don't do that. Don't say, okay, and next up is my son Bobby. Like let Bobby stand on his own. It's not your place to say, who's coming, because you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know kind of the level of secrecy if you come into confession, you can say, "Hey, Father, it's me, Steve," and people do that all the time. But it's not another person's place to divulge that information.
Yeah, because you don't know if you're the husband and you're like, your wife may have been to confession like 3 days prior, and then now you're going together, and they may have already confessed the sins of slashing your tires a week before.
So don't do that. Okay, other offenses against truth.
Okay. What number are we?
This is 2477.
Okay.
Rash judgment.
Ooh.
Which assumes as true without sufficient foundation the moral fault of a neighbor. So this happens, I think, a lot within families. I remember this happened a lot with my brothers and sisters. Like something happens, something's missing. It could happen in our house. I can't find my keys. Oh, dang it. Well, Coolidge, he was in here.
Flushed him down the toilet.
He was in here, and I saw him with my keys. And then I come to you and I say, "What'd you do with my keys?" And you're like, "I don't know where your keys are, dude. Like, relax."
Chill, bro.
But my assumption was I saw you with them, or you were near, we go after people without sufficient information to know that it was really them.
Yeah.
Or we sort of assume. That's rash judgment, and it's a sin against the 8th commandment. Detraction.
Explain.
Which is without objectively valid reasons, disclosing another's faults and failings to persons who did not know them.
Oh, that's like gossip and slander.
So it's a form of gossip. A form of gossip. So I know something about this guy, and you don't need to know it.
Yeah.
And I tell you in order to bring him down.
Yeah.
Detraction.
I have confessed that before. Like, yep. I just remember saying, I said, and I don't remember the exact details, but I remember taking it to confession because I felt terrible about it. Because I said this about a person's friend of something they didn't know about them. I was like, well, what? I mean, like they do this all the time, and it wasn't, it was just pals hanging out. I was like, dang it, that was mean. Like, now I let this detraction out. I let the slander out.
Yep.
And now they know something about their friend that, it was old. Oh, I still feel stupid.
Yeah, detraction. So then another form of this gossip, we call it calumny.
Oh, yeah, I never...
Calumny. Uh-huh. And so it's remarks contrary to the truth that harm the reputation of others and give occasion for false judgments concerning them.
That's a lot of words.
So making something up. So detraction is telling somebody something that's true, but that they don't need to know. Calumny is saying something that's untrue.
Oh, that's the defining.
That obviously they don't need to know because it's not even real.
Uh-huh. It was like we concocted it.
Yep.
And just then.
Yep. And so I think we see this a lot in our lives. There's somebody that we don't particularly like. and then we want others to not like them. And so we say, hey, did you know? Did you know he, steals from work? Now maybe he does steal from work, but that's not yours to tell me.
She deals crack on the side.
Yeah,
on the streets.
Yeah, and then that rumor gets going, and then as once that rumor is out of the barn, it's hard to pull it back in.
I have a question. Hypothetically, maybe you spread a rumor and then figure out how long it takes for the rumor to get around. O'Brien, any situations
that was like comedy.
What was that?
Would that be?
That was you.
When I was in college.
What'd you do?
Oh, when I was in college.
Is this an example of calumny right here?
Let's see.
I'm glad I know your life.
You can use your moral judgment here. So when I was in college, I was in I did some student government stuff. So my senior year
I love this.
So my senior year, we were every year, who was going to be the graduation speaker at Boston College was a big deal. And so we had the Attorney General. We had anyway. So 1998 or fall of '97. I'm a college senior. So my friends and I, just a few friends, we decided that we would start a rumor about who the commencement speaker was, and that people would probably believe it because I was involved in student government, even though I had nothing to do with the who the speaker would be. I was not in those meetings, and nobody ever asked me. So we landed on a particular person, and then we would start the rumor.
This is your squad of buddies.
This is two other guys, and we would start the rumor, and we would see how far it went. So we ended up.
But how far do you know how far?
So the goal was if we heard it back from somebody else who told us the rumor that they had heard, then we would have been successful.
Go on.
So we decided on a hilarious commencement speaker, and that is Don Knotts. Now, Don Knotts, for those of you on the younger side of life, Don Knotts was a comedic figure in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He was on the Andy Griffith Show. There was this show in the 80s called Three's Company, and he was the goofy landlord. Well, anyway, so we made up a story that Don Knotts was going to be the 1998 commencement speaker, and it was because he had overcome cancer. He had been very, very sick and then overcame it, and now he tells this really inspirational story.
Is any of that true?
No. So we start telling people,
have you confessed this?
Hey, did you guys hear who the commencement speaker is going to be? And people are like, no, who? Oh my gosh, who? And I was like, Don Knotts. And they're like, really? Like Boston College, we're kind of a prestigious, why are we bringing Don? Oh, he overcame cancer. It's this whole big thing. It's a really inspirational story. Oh, really? Okay. Anyway, so weeks later, I'm sitting with another group of friends, and somebody says, guys, did you hear that Don Knotts is going to be the commencement speaker? And I was just like, yes. Winner.
Is that
I don't know. What is that?
Have you confessed this? Because you can start right now. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
Is that? I don't know what that is. Is that? I mean, it's a lie. It was for a joke. I don't know.
Okay, well, you know what?
Let's keep going. So detraction and calumny destroy the reputation and honor of one's neighbor. So I think that's where we got to keep in mind. When you're opening your big fat mouth and you're talking about your friends behind their back or some coworker, you are harming their reputation.
Yep.
And it's a lie. So don't do it. Then what's very interesting is flattery. Flattery.
Speaking of old TV characters, Mrs. Haskell, what else? You look so lovely today. What else can I do for you?
Yeah, Eddie Haskell.
Eddie Haskell.
Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Cleaver. Mrs. Cleaver.
Yeah, 2448.
Oh.
Every word or attitude is forbidden, which by flattery, adulation, or complacence encourages and confirms another in malicious acts and perverse conduct.
Malicious acts.
So this is okay. I mean, just one example. You're standing around with your buddies, and somebody starts talking about. I mean, so this is college kids, Somebody starts talking about how drunk they got on Saturday night, and it was awesome. And I slept with this girl, and you're standing there, and you go along with it.
You condone it,
and you laugh at the joke.
Yep.
And you say, "Oh man, that's awesome!" What Now, even in your heart, you're saying, "Oh, this is not good. This is bad." But your deeds, your actions are, "Oh man, that must have been awesome." Like you are giving flattery, adulation, or complacence, meaning you're kind of being neutral in the face of a situation in which you ought not be neutral.
Yeah.
A sin against the 8th commandment.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
I thought flattery was just like telling Mrs. Cleaver how beautiful she was, and like false charm.
It can be that too.
Fake charm. Like maybe I was thinking of the direction of seduction. Like you're lying to somebody about who they are, or who you perceive them to be, and therefore, like you're seducing them, with this fakeness. But then you say it the other way of. It's also the other way of just flattery of like praising somebody for something bad they did. And like, oh, wow, you're so good.
Yeah, when in fact they're not. Now, if you don't want to take this to like way too far. You have a son who's in 5 years old and just started playing the piano. Like you can encourage, you're not.
Or a piece of art.
Son, you stink. Okay, a couple more. Boasting or bragging.
Okay.
Our sins against the 8th commandment.
Are lying. Boasting
and bragging. Yep. Now, it also matters kind of the gravity of the lie. And anyway, there's a lot here. One thing I want to just point out, the Catechism was written in 1993.
Okay.
But it talks about temperance when it comes to how we communicate with each other. I'll just read this real quick. Okay. The means of social communication can give rise to a certain passivity among users, making them less than vigilant consumers of what is said or shown. Users should practice moderation and discipline in their approach to the mass media. They will want to form enlightened and correct consciences the more easily to resist unwholesome influences. So that includes, like when we are in what we are taking into our minds, what we're reading, what we're watching, we have to be consumers of that which is good. And if we're not, we are giving into the lie.
And what's the lie?
Well, the lie is the unwholesomeness of what is coming.
Okay.
Of what is coming in. That we're by putting up with something that is untrue.
Yes.
We are being complacent by allowing it to go on.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
So we want to be avid, not avid consumers. We want to be, I would say, vigilant in what it is that we are taking in so as not to perpetuate the lie. Now, I mentioned that was written in 1993.
But this is the updated catechism. This is the Blue Giant.
That's catechism, yeah. So that's before the internet really got going, before social media became a thing. So anyway, I think it's to look at, similar to what we said last week, like to look at your life and to say, how am I doing with regard to the truth? Am I a truth teller?
Yeah.
Am I a liar? Am I somewhere in between? And I think especially, especially I think gossip in our workplaces, in our schools, within the parish, we're not immune to that, and we ought to be.
What was that Fulton Sheen? It was like if you want to gossip, like go up on the top of the Empire State Building with your feather pillow.
That was Philip Neri.
Philip Neri, and like throw the feathers out and then go pick them up because that's how gossip spreads.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't bring it back once it's out of your mouth. You want to like grab it back in. But anyway, so that's one that's very specific that I think we can all really work on. Is that sin of gossip, which goes against the 8th commandment.
Wow, the music's here already. Wow.
That is all the time we have. Thanks for joining us here on Pastors of Pain. Have a great week, everybody.
Peace.